Get Up Nation. My name is Ben Biddick. I am the creator and host of the Get Up Nation podcast, where I serve individuals, organizations, and societies to develop and sustain resilience and perseverance. I'm the co-author of Get Up, The Art of Perseverance, with former Major League Baseball player and CEO of Luron Living, Adam Greenberg. The Get Up Nation podcast is brought to you in partnership with GotYourSixCoffee.com, where Navy veteran Eric Hadley is committed to serving first responders, veterans, and their families through a variety of nonprofit organizations. No stranger to adversity, Eric has fused necessity of coffee with his passion for public service. You're already purchasing coffee. Why not empower your coffee with purpose? Why not purchase coffee that not only has your six, but also has the backs of those who don a uniform of service for our communities and great country? Learn more about Eric and his freshly roasted, award-winning coffee at GotYourSixCoffee.com. Welcome to this episode of the Get Up Nation podcast. Recently, I had the honor and privilege of speaking with Kathy Partak. This is her second appearance on the Get Up Nation show. She and her son Mason joined me on episode 7 to share how Mason became a CHOP Junior champion, profoundly impacted their community, and challenged limiting beliefs about what was possible in the process. During this conversation, we focus on Kathy's insights into intentional winning, how she and her husband serve veterans, and how she stays resilient through it all. Kathy, such a pleasure to have you back on the Get Up Nation show.
Thank you for having me, Ben. I'm so excited.
Awesome. All right. Will you share currently where you're located for anybody listening that wants to connect with you after the show?
We are in Northern California. However, we have big plans on the horizon to make a cross-country move later this year.
Wow. Excellent. I've been looking forward to talking with you today. You have some amazing stories to share. Let's start with this concept of living with intention. Why has this become important to you, and what has happened as a result of it?
You know, Ben, I have always been intentional. It's so funny. My very first job, when I was 16 years old, I was up early on a Saturday morning, dressed up, doing my hair and makeup, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to get a job today." She said, "What?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to go get a job today." She says, "Well, Kathy, it doesn't work like that. You know, you have to go apply, and then you take the application back, and then maybe they call you and set up an interview, and maybe another interview." And I was looking at her like, "What?" So I said, "Okay." And I went out that day, and I came home a few hours later with a job, right? I mean, for me, that was my reality. I was going out, I was going to get a job, I was going to come home and be employed. And that's exactly what happened. And I think that, you know, solidified that whatever I think, I'm right.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So that it just enlivens action. And then what are some of these stories where you sent me some dialogue from a radio contest you won? You've won a number of different things. Will you go into what is some of the miraculous things that have kind of happened as a result of this living this way?
Well, so again, I think initially it wasn't something that I learned. Like so many people later in life can, you know, see the film or read the book The Secret and learn about, you know, this power of visualization and setting intention. I won my first radio contest. I want to say I was 12 or 13 years old, and it was exactly what you're thinking. Hey, all you out there in Radio Land, be caller number 9, and you can win the latest cassette, indeed. And that was the very first thing that I won. I was caller number 9, I won, I went down to the radio station on my bike, and I picked up this cassette. It was the coolest thing ever. Well, from that point forward, you know, anytime I would hear, you know, or listen to the radio station giving away something really cool, I would tune in. And I just think because I knew I could win, I had won, the idea that I wouldn't win didn't come into play as much. And there's just a real thrill when you set this up. So, for example, I can remember being excited about, say, you know, big concert coming to town, and telling my friends, "Hey, let's make plans to go to this concert." And concert tickets have never been cheap for the time. And I'm like, no, I'm going to win tickets. And they're like, "What do you mean? How do you know you're going to win tickets?" I'm like, no, I'm going to win tickets. And so I would set my intention before it. The night before, I would set my alarm. Sammy Hagar is a big influence in my life. Love Sammy's music and his career. And I decided that I was going to meet him. And I have a number of stories of setting my intention and maybe not quite getting there, or getting there partially, like getting into the concert but not backstage. And I finally decided he was doing a Rockline interview with Bob Coburn in the Bay Area, and they wanted to do an in-studio audience. So they were looking for like 20 people. So they were giving away tickets, 2 tickets every morning, 5:40 a.m. So I set my alarm, and that very first morning, I won 2 tickets. And my friends were so excited. They're like, oh, my God, we want to go, win some more tickets. So the next day, I won 2 more tickets. Only this time, I said I was my friend Mary and gave all of her information so she could show up, right, and sign in. Well, 6 of us went to that recording. And it was so fun. I finally met Sammy, and I said to him, do you know how hard I have been trying to meet you? And he was so funny. He was like, really? Here you are. It's not that hard. So I think there really is a power in truly believing, being able to visualize and see yourself in that position, to hear that conversation of a radio DJ saying, hey, you're caller number 9, you win, or what's the answer? And just without a doubt knowing you have this answer. I mean, the Sammy Hagar story is so fun. I've won trips. We've been to New York, Las Vegas, took my 2 best friends to Hawaii. And when these trips on the radio, when they give them away, as soon as you start making the arrangements with whoever the hotel is, and they hear you won a trip, I mean, they're so excited that they're talking to somebody who won something that upgrades start coming.
Wow.
Oh, my God, you won this trip. You know what, let's go. Let's make this really cool for you,
Wow.
So that's just one. I mean, I went in my sleep one time.
Tell me about this.
I know. I was waiting. You're like, Kathy, you have to tell me how you went in your sleep. This is one of those things where when you tune in to something, you literally, it's part of your vibration, truly. So I sleep with my radio on, and I don't know where that started. I'm thinking my mom must have done that when I was little to have some background noise. So I would sleep with my radio on, very, very low, white noise, and I woke up one morning, and my phone, it was a landline, was off of my nightstand and on the floor, but it was hung up. It was like it had been moved to the floor. And I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm thinking, I don't remember putting my phone on the floor. So I put it back on the nightstand, and I got in the shower. And as I was in the shower, we have all those aquapiphanies when the water's running, and we have the grandest ideas in the shower. I was thinking, I think I won something last night. And I started having this sense that I had called in, and I had given my information, and I won something. So I went to work, and I was talking to one of my coworkers who had seen me in action many times winning on the radio. And I said, hey, Roger, I think I won something last night. He goes, what do you mean you think? And so I told him what I just told you. And he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to go down to the radio station at lunchtime. And I'm going to say, I think I won something. Sure enough, I won a $100 entertainment book. So one of those big promotional books with all the coupons and freebies in it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Honest to God. I must have heard them say, be caller number 9, and it was at 1:32 in the morning that I called it.
No kidding. Wow. What was the thing that you said you won, your husband?
I did win my husband. So it's kind of funny that, when you have sort of a thing in your life that is your thing. So anytime we go to a crab feed, and there's a silent auction or raffle prizes, I win. I always win something. Sometimes I win a lot of things. And when I win a lot of things, it's really uncomfortable because people will they're looking at you like, how are you doing this? And truly, it's a ticket in a bag, right? Like, how do you rig that? You don't. So I was at work, and it was almost time to go home, just before 5 o'clock. And the DJ that evening was saying, I have Dave, dateless. He's desperate. He's looking for a date to whatever the concert was that was coming up. And my coworker Tim was so funny. He goes, Kathy, this is your guy. Like, this is your guy. That would only stand to reason that you would win your guy on the radio. And I was like, oh my God, Tim, you have to stop. He's like, come on, you gotta call. So I called, and the DJ said, he's like, hey, who's this? And Kathy, I'm in San Francisco. That's where I was at the time. And he says, well, we're gonna play a dating game. And I'm like, oh God. Oh my goodness. So I stayed, was good sport. I stayed on the radio, and he got Dave on the phone, and we played a dating game. So I say that I won Dave on the radio because I'm the person who calls in and wins. But on a good day, I think he would say he won me.
Awesome.
We went to the concert. There were no sparks initially, but we liked each other. I mean, we had things in common. It was a good connection in terms of a friendship, and we were friends going camping. We bowled on a lake together. Both dated other people for 6 years. The whole time, people saying to us, "Why aren't you two together?" And we were both like, no. And then it would go back and forth. You know, he would say, maybe we should. And I'd be like, yeah, no, it's not happening. And then, of course, I would have a moment where I would go, okay, I can maybe see that. And he'd be like, yeah, no, I just met somebody. So when we did finally get together, it was very, very easy and very quick. It was a very quick, we kind of looked at each other and it was like, we're dating. Yeah, we're dating. We dated officially for probably about 8 weeks. He proposed to me and we got married 3 days later.
Wow. Amazing.
And it was also funny that I won a trip to Mexico in 2001. And I was trying to get people to go on this trip with me, and I qualified for the trip because I was just talking to my business partner, and I was like, I need a vacation. And he's like laughing at me. He's like, you need a vacation. I said, yeah. I said, I need a vacation. He said, well, where do you want to go? I said, well, someplace tropical. I said, but I don't want to go with you. I want a romantic vacation. He's like, well, you're not dating anybody. I said, yeah, I know. But that's details, right? So no sooner did I say that than we're listening to the radio because it's always on, and they're like, hey, we got a trip to Cabo San Lucas coming up. We're taking qualifiers all this week and all next week. We're giving this trip away,
Wow.
5 nights, whatever. And he looks at me and he goes, there you go, go to Mexico. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to Mexico. So I qualified that day. I was the first qualifier. And the DJ was like, yeah, well, be listening on such and such a day when we, see if we call your name. I said, oh, you'll call my name. He laughed. They always laughed. They would go, oh, yeah, that's good. You're confident. So I was at a Rotary meeting, and I'm sitting in the car, and I'm waiting. And I want to go in because I want to hear him call my name. And one of my fellow Rotarians walked by, and he's like, Kathy, what are you doing? I said, well, hang on, I'm winning something. He goes, you're winning something? I said, yeah, I'm just waiting for them to say my name. So he stood there with me, and they called my name, and he looked at me with these eyes, and he goes, how did you know? Did they call you and tell you ahead of time? And I was like, no, I just knew I was going to go. Well, now I had to find somebody to go to Mexico with. And I'm not kidding you, Ben. I asked all my friends to go with me. Nobody could go.
Okay.
So my business partner, Mike, says, hey, why don't you ask Flower Dave? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not asking Flower Dave. And he's like, why not? I said, well, first of all, I said I wanted to go on a romantic vacation. And if it's not going to be romantic, then I want to go with a girlfriend. I don't want to have that pressure of,
sure,
guy, girl, sleeping, all that stuff.
Right.
He's like, all right. Could not find anybody to go. I finally did call Dave thinking he would say no. And he's like, yeah, I'm in. So how this story all comes back around is that I set my intention to go on a romantic vacation, and it turned out that 9/11 happened in September of that year. And so planes were grounded, and we couldn't go. I mean, we could, but it was just difficult, so we waited. And told you he proposed, and we got married 3 days later. Well, we went to Mexico, and it turned out to be a honeymoon.
Amazing.
So it was about as romantic as it could get. So if you think about me saying, I need a vacation, I want it to be romantic, I'm not really officially dating anybody. And then from, what was that, August of 2001, and we went in January of 2002 as a married couple.
Wow. We talk ourselves out of things all the time. We think that it's not possible. We create all these barriers in our minds for things that we think we can't do. And how untrue is that? Like 95% of the time.
It is. It absolutely is. And you're right. We do think our way out of things. The interesting thing, as I said, there's lots of times where I haven't won. And people will say, well, how do you explain that? If you can truly set your intention and win something, why isn't it 100% sure? And my answer to that is, one is doubt. Doubt, everybody has doubt. I won a trip to Hawaii, and I remember qualifying. I remember being so sure I was going to win. And I remember driving to work and thinking, what if I don't? And I, honest to goodness, flipped my visor down in my car and looked myself in the eyes and said, I will not counter-intend that. I will not. That was not counter-intention. I caught myself. But how many times do we doubt and not catch ourselves?
Right.
And so that seed lays planted. I did win that trip to Hawaii. And that was the trip I took my 2 best friends on. We all 3 chipped in for one more airfare. And we all just went. The counter-intention, or somebody has a stronger intention. You know, I mean, if it's a vibration and if it's an energy, and if we come together and it becomes collective, you know, there certainly are times where, you know, my head is not as in the game. And, you know, we talked a little bit about Mason. My favorite story of intention with him was when we were in New York and he was competing on Chopped. And I said to him that morning before we left, I said, Mason, I'm really proud of you. You know, you have all the skills and abilities to win this competition today. But more importantly than focusing on winning, I really want you to have fun. Because this is an experience of a lifetime.
Right.
And I don't want you to miss a moment worrying about winning or losing.
Right.
You know, all of you kids have already won because you're here.
Yep.
So we went down to breakfast with all the kids and their moms, and the tension was so thick. These kids were so nervous. Nobody was talking. They were moving food around on their plates. I mean, they really weren't even eating. And Mason, they had moved a little table up against a longer table so we could all sit together. And Mason was sitting at the end, and he said, hey, guys, I just want you to know that there's a Chop Junior champion sitting at this table.
Wow.
And all the kids kind of laughed, and they went, yeah. And he put his hands, he was at the little table. He put his hands on the little table. He said, no, this table. And I kind of looked at him, and I'm like, that kid just said his intention.
Wow.
I don't even know if he knows he did it. But when he won, I told him, you know, on our flight home, I said, do you remember that? And he was like, yeah. I said, that was a moment that, I mean, I physically felt it. And so, you know, kids, they see you do this. They see you visualize. I've done visualizations with Mason. I've done it with my husband. He wore braces as a kid, but then he didn't wear his retainer. And you know what happens when your parents pay for braces and you don't wear your retainer?
Yeah.
They probably shouldn't have paid for braces.
Right.
So I would always talk to him about getting his teeth fixed, and, you know, he would never make that a priority because there's always bills to pay or something to pay for kids, whatever. And we were riding, you know, on our way home, and he said, the radio said, hey, we've got, you know, Smile Quest Dental's giving away a $5,000 smile makeover. And I'm like, oh, there it is. That's how you get your teeth done. And he starts laughing. So I start calling because, you know, you have to call to qualify, and then they do a drawing. And it's ringing. And I'm like, oh my God, you have to pull over. You have to be the one to talk because a lot of the times these are not transferable. So he pulled the car over, and I handed him the phone, and sure enough, he qualified. And I was so over the moon. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. We don't even have to pay for it. Like, you're getting your mouth done. And he's like, okay. He knows better. He knows better than to say no. Okay. So they were going to be giving away. They did qualifying all weekend long. I said, now Monday, you need to make sure you have your phone on because they're going to call the winner. You have to make sure you answer the phone. So we went out for dinner, and he had his phone at the table, no call. And he's kind of giving me the one eyebrow up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean this is your pride. You're winning this smile makeover. And he's like, yeah, okay. So we got home, and I kept thinking, why haven't they called? This is really crazy, and they haven't talked about it. Like, I haven't heard anything on the radio tonight about it. Sure enough, I hear his phone ring upstairs. And I looked up the stairway at him, and he's giving me the thumbs up, and I just started screaming. I was so excited. And so we have the recording of that actual win. And the DJ's like, oh my God, what's happening? Who's screaming? He goes, oh, my wife just realized that I won. So he did. He got his whole, you know, mouth made over, and he's got the most beautiful smile, and he smiles so much more easily now. You know, I mean, it's crazy when you hear this. You sit here and you go, no way. But then you listen to a recording, and you go, oh.
Right.
It really did happen like that.
That's powerful, and that's a good reminder for all of us to to not limit ourselves, to be intentional about what we're doing, and how easy it is to drift into that doubt or that, or to say no to it when something inside us wants us to say yes.
Yeah, and what do you have to lose
Right.
if you set your intention and they don't call?
Right.
Nothing. And I will tell you, in the time that you've been excited and you've had that vibration of, it really could be me. This really could happen, right? You have now been living for maybe a day, maybe 3 days over a weekend, maybe 2 weeks if you're the first qualifier, and there's 2 full weeks of qualifiers before they draw the name. You're sort of operating in this vibe of optimism. Right? And while you're doing that, what else is going right? So it's kind of a fun way, a playful way to increase your vibration in the universe, to smile more, to think about what if. And the whole time you're thinking about what if, what else is happening? Setting things in motion that are positive and for the good of other people are so easy. I mean, truly, just the power of suggestion. Somebody will pick it up and run with it. And I'll give you a military example. So Dave deployed to Iraq in 2003 when Mason was born.
Okay.
He had 6 months of training in Fort Lewis, Washington, and then deployed for 12 months overseas. And while he was gone, I was a member of a service club, and they do a Seas Candy fundraiser every year. That's their big fundraiser. They start about Thanksgiving and they sell, oh my God, who knows how many hundreds of pounds of candy. And then that money goes back into the community in form of scholarships or projects, whatever it is. So as a member of this group, Dave had just returned from Iraq in 2005, and we're selling candy, and I said, we should put a box out and let people who don't really know how to support our troops buy an extra box of candy, and then Dave can ship it over to the deployed men and women, kind of a taste of home.
Nice.
And Seas Candies, for people who don't have Seas Candies, it's a high-end candy maker in the Bay Area. So it's not your drugstore chocolate. So the club was like, oh, that's a good idea, thinking they're going to sell 10 or 20 extra pounds of candy. Well, we had cases.
Wow.
People bought cases of this candy, and this candy sells for, $15 to $20 a pound. So you've got this many sales has now increased for this club. The candy is being shipped over to the service members. People are able to donate and to give. They actually wrote notes and taped it to the boxes of candy so they could say, thank you for your service from the Smith family in Auburn, California, wherever it's coming from. Well, it didn't take long before they realized how much more money they made that year. All of the clubs picked this idea up. So my husband Dave is now the guy in uniform who's going around to all these different locations and picking up candy. And now we're having bigger budgets for shipping. These clubs are actually collecting money now to ship this candy because we're shipping thousands of pounds. Wow. Not just tens of pounds. Wow. So, we did that for 15 years. This last year was year 15 for Seas for Soldiers. The amount of money that it's raised and the amount of people, Dave gets letters even still that say, I was deployed, I got this case of candy, we shared it, we couldn't be home for the holidays, but wow, what an awesome thing to have this, something that's not beef jerky and, Gatorade mixes.
Yeah. That's great. And I just followed this morning the Seas for Soldiers on Facebook. It's a great way for people to learn more about that and to continue to expand the good that's being done there.
Yeah, and I encourage people, if you have an idea, say it out loud. The minute you say it out loud, you will be surprised how many people will step in to help, whether it's to say, yeah, hey, look, I decorated this box in, Stars and Stripes paper. So now people know if they put a box of candy in here, it's supporting the troops. I think when you set your intention to take a path, the road rises up to meet you. Somehow.
Yeah.
But are you paying attention?
Right. And I love that statement that, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Absolutely.
How true and amazing that is when you see that manifest in your life.
Yeah. And I think about my brain is just swirling with so many times I've heard people say, isn't that weird? Like, I said that I wanted to do this, and so-and-so knows somebody who does it.
Yeah, right.
It starts with, I said. Because we think. Like, it's in our heads. We're in our heads.
Yeah.
And you said it earlier. We talk ourselves out of it before we ever open our mouth and say.
Right.
I mean, intentional winning grew when Dave came home from Iraq. He wasn't himself. And I know a lot of people say, well, of course. You know, he deployed to a war zone for a year. Of course he wasn't himself. And I guess I was really naive. I didn't expect him to come home angry. I expected him to be excited he was home. We had just started our life together, and we had, you know, this healthy child. We had a great life. We had a small savings. We owned our house. Like, what was there not to be happy about?
Right.
And he had an underlying sense of angst. And I'm like, what? What is wrong with you? Like, what is going on here?
Right.
And he said, you know, I've had two dreams in life. One was to fight in a foreign war, and one was to be a park ranger in Gettysburg. I guess 50% ain't bad. And I'm like, okay, well, why does it have to be 50%? He says, well, how do you be a park ranger in Gettysburg when you live in California? I said, okay, well, do you have to be a park ranger? Exactly? Like, could you potentially recreate a sense of Gettysburg in California in the form of living history, teaching to middle schoolers about the Battle of Gettysburg? Could you bring it here somehow? Or what if we were to move or to buy, let's say, buy a bed and breakfast in Gettysburg? And what if we ran it and operated it the prettiest 3 months out of the year? And when people came and stayed at our inn, they got all the benefit of your living history knowledge, your Civil War knowledge, and American history. You could take them on tours and share little known facts that most people don't know.
Right.
And he started looking at me going, okay, where did all of this come from, and what are you talking about? And that's really how the concept of intentional winning was born that night. We were playing shuffleboard in a bar. Lots of great things happen in bars. But it got me thinking, how many people have dreams not come true?
Right.
Right? How many people had some great thing they wanted to do or be as a young person, and then as they started growing, life got in the way.
Right.
Bills had to be paid. You know, mortgages needed to be met. Kids needed to be, needed shoes.
Yep.
So what if today you thought about that dream not come true? What could you do this minute? Like right now. It doesn't have to be, well, you know what, I can go look into this and, maybe next year I can start.
Right.
No, there's things you can do right now.
Right.
Ben, do you have a dream not come true?
As I'm hearing you talk, I certainly, the way I look at things is everything has a purpose, and there are certain things that align at certain times, and I just kind of grin because they're, identifying some limiting beliefs that I've put on myself or my future or my circumstances, there's been, it's certainly, this conversation is very exciting in a sense of where have I limited myself and where have I talked myself out of certain things, and also having a similar experience of going to war, coming back, and that the transition period from that and all the expectations or beliefs that go along with coming back from that and the transition and things like that. So I guess, there are things that I need to let go of when it comes to self-defeating concepts or limiting concepts that I need to let go of, and truly in this moment welcome or allow the things that are within me to come forward, truly.
Yeah, and it's so simple, yet not easy.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it truly is as simple as just saying, I'm not going to limit myself.
Right.
Yet, when you start to think, what is that thing I want to do?
Yeah.
You immediately think, can't afford it, don't have time, out of my reach, need to do this first.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you think about, Dave's dream has always been to be a park ranger in Gettysburg.
Right.
Will that happen in his life? I don't know. But making a move, closer to that park, much closer to that park, puts it a little more in reach, even if for a seasonal position, right?
Yep.
And it's funny, being in he's 57, you start to reach this point in life that if not now, when?
Right, exactly.
right? And so, I don't know, I'm not going to say as most people. I'm going to say as we age, we start to wind down mentally a little bit. There's just this very slow, mild sense of maybe the best is behind us, right?
Right.
And again, that's a limiting belief, because I'm watching, as we're making this preparation to make this move, I'm watching us both come to life. I'm watching us work together. I'm seeing Team Partak come alive in a way of, we've got this grand new adventure coming.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it's really super cool. But back to intentional winning and, you know, what is that dream not come true? First, ask yourself, is the dream still valid? Are you holding on to something that, you know, you feel like you never got, but today you might not even really want it anymore? Technology has changed so much, and I use photography as an example. If you think about photography when we were growing up, you know, we had to take pictures and send the film in and wait, right?
Right. Yeah.
Before we could see anything.
Yeah.
But there was also a real skill and talent and ability to processing film and developing it and, you know, working with the chemicals and the colors and the light and all the things. It's not like that today.
Right.
Can we do that still? Yes. But how many people do?
Right.
So if that was the part of that, you know, area of life that you loved and you thought you wanted to do, maybe not so much today.
Right. Right.
So I always suggest, you know, revisit that dream. What does it look like today with technology? How has it evolved?
Right.
And then if you still think you're interested, right now, I don't care where you are and what you're doing. Today, you have 5 minutes that you can Google that dream not come true and find somebody near you who does it and reach out to them.
Right.
And ask them, do you love what you do? And see what they say.
Right.
What do you love? What don't you like? What, you know, and then volunteer.
Yeah.
Go say, hey, can I hang out with you for a day? Can I come see what you do?
Right.
That's one way right there where you can figure out, is this something I still want to do? Maybe it'll inspire something different. I call those orange roads, right? Those are all those sideways and different ways you can get where you want to go that are unexpected.
Right.
And then make a decision. You know, if it is something you want to do, now go find a book and find you'll be amazed at how many gazillions of ways there are to do what you want to do.
Right.
You know, a career in wine. Do you want to sell? Do you want to pour tastings? Do you want to make it? Do you want to design wine labels? Do you want to come up with a better way to package and distribute wine? Do you want to have a wine blog, a wine podcast? Like, there's a million ways to do what you want to do.
Right.
Don't think of it as just one.
Yeah.
And that is how you make that dream not come true right now. And then decide, do I still want that? And I think that's even more important, because you might be living with this sense of failure, this sense of regret, this sense of, if only.
Right.
And maybe you're carrying that for no good reason at all, because it's not really what you want.
Right. Man, you're taking me deep today. As you've been talking, it's interesting. I lived in Los Angeles for a little while, and I'm just remembering, I'm feeling the weather of it and thinking of a studio that I'm putting together to help bring resilience training and experiences to people. And a lot of connections are in Los Angeles and wanting to really bring this podcast to the next level, and the impact and the outreach of it, and also experiences in New York where just profound connections with various people who are doing amazing things, and how I would love to bring all that Get Up Nation is to a global scale and have studios in both of those cities. So I'm just speaking that out a little bit, and just kind of looking forward to making the dreams that exist within into manifested reality. But I just look forward to giving this gift to people, to giving this gift of your insights and your expertise and your history of having these profound experiences. Life is truly miraculous to be immersed in, to be a part of, to be alive and aware of it. And there's so much negativity and being thrown around, but we often don't live with that sense of awe if we took the time to not be distracted, if we focus more on the present moment, if we saw the miracle of who people are circumstances and situations that can be transformed. It's been one of the profound experiences in my life to help people transition out of adversity. Like you had mentioned of how you've sensed the negativity, underlying angst within the person that you love dearly, and then helped to awaken that awe again in the love that you had for him, and to see him awaken, and to see how it's helping your family transition into a new odyssey of exploration and the unknowns and the positivity and banding together. It's great to hear and to have this conversation.
Yeah, it's been really enlightening. I've seen a handful of people in the second half of their lives, from their 50s to, I met a woman in her 80s who had been living in Walnut Creek literally their whole lives. And she went to Arizona to visit some sort of long-lost family, we'll call them, and was so embraced in love that she called back home to Walnut Creek and said, "Put my house on the market. Wow. I'm moving." And she went out that day, 88 years old, and bought a house in Arizona near these people and moved.
Wow.
And to watch this woman come to life with excitement, to be around people that love her and that she loves. Right. I mean, how many people at 88 will consider entirely moving their life from, the middle of the country to the southernmost point almost? It's not really, but I remember just sitting and visiting with her in December and just looking at her going, oh my goodness, this is another example of, wheels in motion stay in motion. Bodies in motion stay in motion. She could be sitting there pretending she's almost dead, but she's not.
Right. Yeah. When you experience that depth of love and connection, and you can be vulnerable with people and they embrace you and do not take advantage or exploit that vulnerability, but kindle it and awaken it and value it and share it, how those experiences between people create an environment that you're willing to leave behind all cold and lifeless living and want to immerse yourself within that reality, and how that is possible with people who take the time to make it real, and how satisfying that is, and above all other pursuits that is.
Well, I love sharing this message, and Ben, my day is going to move forward with this love and light. I mean, hearing you get it, like hearing you think and reflect, and to potentially realize that you can do what you want to do.
Right.
You said it. And who's going to hear that and say, oh man, that would be so easy? Then call me up.
Right.
All we have to do is this.
Yep.
Because today, how hard is it to have studio access in Los Angeles and New York?
Right.
It's not hard at all.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just, are you willing to show up and to put yourself out there?
Right.
Who knows? Do what it takes. I don't even know all the way what it takes.
Yeah. But you got to find out before you can know if it's doable. That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So I love to get out on stage and to share this message when I can see people's faces.
Awesome.
And watch them go through that process of, what's my dream not come true? The face changes. You can't see me, but you can see that thought. You can see the brow kind of go down.
Right. And
then you can kind of see it come up. And then, there's this whole, they go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
What is it? Do I want to do it today? I don't know. Maybe. Well, you know who does. It's this whole journey that happens in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, Kathy, I always end the show with 6 quick questions to help my listeners understand the why within my phenomenal guests. Will you run through these 6 quick questions with me?
I would be honored.
Excellent. Who are you thankful for today?
I am thankful today for all of you listening to this.
And now that we've covered who you're thankful for today, what are you thankful for today?
I am thankful that I am awake and thriving.
How do you fuel the fire within you?
How do I fuel the fire within me? I have lots of fires, Ben. I fuel my speaking fire by watching other amazing speakers.
And what is one thing adversity taught you to value?
Oh, adversity has taught me to value the people who care about me, who have my back.
What are you doing today you may have never thought you could?
I don't know. I don't know what I have never thought I could do.
Awesome. That's great. I hope you never experience the sense of that you can't do anything, and that I hope you always experience the can of knowing everything you've shared today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is there
Now you're going to make me, I'm going to think all day today about that.
And then
There has to be something that I thought I couldn't do. I think, you know what I will tell you, it's not a specific thing, but I will tell you the thing that holds me back is that I don't have my bachelor's degree. I have college education, I have my associate's degree.
Sure.
But I don't have my bachelor's degree, and there are many instances where I don't even have the opportunity to be heard. Or to be, considered.
I see.
And it's not that I think I can't do it.
Right.
It's not a can't. So that would be something that plays in for me, that, I have enough life experience for 5 bachelor's degrees.
Sure. And then that leads to that final question, which has kind of been answered. What will you do tomorrow that you may have never thought you could?
Well, it's not that I don't think I can.
Yeah.
But I will probably have my bachelor's degree before I die.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Kathy, it's been such a pleasure today. It's been so great connecting with your family here on the show multiple times. How can people learn more about you and your amazing work?
Well, you can certainly find me on Instagram, Kathy Partak. You can also find me at kathypartak.com. You could certainly reach out to me via either of those venues, and I respond to everybody.